I have a video today about a few things. So I'm gonna kind of probably jump different subjects, but I've been really feeling kind of mad lately about everything that's going on because we've been having a war right now on pain patients, and it's not very fair. So I have a lot of opinions, and I feel like I really should speak my mind, and I feel like other pain patients should too. I don't think that a lot of government agencies and the physicians even that are against us are understanding the situations that we're in. People that have chronic pain or chronic illnesses, they live in a way that people that have never had illness affect their life don't understand. Even if you love someone or know someone or have someone in your life that has, whether it be chronic pain, a chronic condition, chronic illness, critical illness, terminal illness, you can never truly understand the financial extent of it, the emotional extent of it, the pain of it, any part of it, unless it physically affects you. And, my husband, he has been with me since I was 16 years old. So he's seen me go from a 16-year-old teeny bopper that could run circles around him to now barely being able to get out of bed some days. I can go to work and then I come home from work and I'm useless. Or, he's watched our son. We have a son that now has a chronic condition, and he went from being a active wrestler and football player and being a normal kid to we went to the zoo last week and he could barely walk at the zoo because he was in so much pain walking around the zoo. He wanted to stop frequently because his pain was too bad in his legs and weakness that was happening. So no one can understand. Someone can definitely try to be there for you and, think they understand emotionally. I'm not trying to say that someone can't emotionally try to comfort you, but they will never understand unless it's you. So my point to that was, even though my husband's been there through all of it, there's days that he doesn't understand it. He can't get it. He doesn't understand why one day I can do this, this, and this, and this, and then there's other days where I'm in bed all day. That's where something like the spoon theory really comes into play, and then the spoon theory can also help hurt some people because people can twist things and misunderstand them and not do good with it. So right now we have an opioid crisis, and I just want to be very clear that these are my opinions. This comes from the research that I have done personally. My thoughts do not represent any organization that I work for. So if you know me personally, and if you know where I work, my opinions, my thoughts, nothing of me represents the organization that I work for. If you know me in my personal life or my volunteer work or my advocacy or my political position, nothing that I say represents anything but me here right now. My opinions are me. It represents nothing else. And I just wanted to make that very clear. We, as pain patients, are in a war right now with the opioid crisis. And I'm not saying as people that have addictions, they have a disease. At least that's what they continue to say. There's two sides of every book, the beginning and the end, and you have some that are saying it's a disease and they deserve to have, you know, treatment, and it's something they can't control because it's a disease and it needs help and it can be treated. And then you have others that say it's a choice. Okay, I don't know. I'm not clinically certified in that area. I do not have enough research in that area. My personal opinion is it is a disease. I have been on chronic pain meds for 10 years. I have never mistook my medication. I've always taken it the way it was prescribed to me. I've always held a relationship with my physicians that has always been frontline, where I am told something and I follow what I'm told. There have been occasions where I'm in a lot of pain, and versus going to the ER, I will call my doctor and she'll say, okay, take another one. There have been times where, you know, that I've had to go to the ER and get pain control because I couldn't control it at home. But as far as me as a patient, I have done my part. I've never tried to refill my script early. Other than there has been times where my script was changed by my physician to a larger number or, you know, strength. And then I began taking it the way she prescribed it at that appointment. And by the end of the month, the prescription didn't go through correctly at the pharmacy. So it looks like I'm trying to refill early, which I'm not, because I was taking it the way it was changed correctly. And you know, you go into a pharmacy and you're treated like an addict immediately. It doesn't matter who you are, what stature you are in your community, how you look, it doesn't matter to them. If you come in there with a narcotic prescription or a prescription for a benzo, you are immediately labeled a drug addict to them. And maybe not at every pharmacy. I can only speak to the pharmacies that I have experienced. Granted, I have only experienced my pharmacy the last 7 years because I've been under a pain contract, which we're going to touch on that here in just a minute. So, this opioid crisis, I believe that, and this is from my research that I've done, it is coming from fentanyl, which is not coming from the narcotic pain prescriptions that are being prescribed to patients. If you look at the statistics and the numbers that are coming out, Indiana continues to brag that our pain prescriptions are down I think it was 35%. I wish I would have wrote all this information down and had it in front of me. I think it was 35% though. They're bragging that they're down 35% on pain prescriptions. They're 35% down on pain prescriptions. Well, you can brag all you want about that, but your suicide rates are up because your pain patients are committing suicide, or your pain patients are going to the street and getting drugged up because they're in so much pain they don't know what to do. And then your overdose rates go through the roof. Now, you're going to sit there and say, but the CDC just came out with preliminary results and said the overdoses are down. Well, by their results, of course they are. Because you know what the CDC is doing with all these other companies? They're pushing Narcan. And what's Narcan do? It revives you from overdose. So all those numbers shoot back up. So it doesn't matter. Those Narcans change those numbers. If they would have put those Narcan numbers in on their overdose numbers, I guarantee you it's probably doubled, if not tripled. You have pain patients that are suffering, mothers that can't care for their children, families that are breaking under the pressure. And what place is it of the government to say what my medical doctor who went to school for years and years and years, that has given me a prescription for my condition, my disease that I was born with, that has worsened, that I've had multiple surgeries, many surgeries. What right is it for a government to come in and say, nope, we don't think you need that. Your pain's not comparable to any of what we think this pain is and what this pain is. Senator Manchin and Senator Braun currently want to pass an FDA, it's called the FDA Opioid Label Act. And what that will do is it clarifies within the act basically that, and I'm just kind of wording it in the way I remember, so please, I will post the actual FDA, the label act here so that it can be read correctly. But it does state in the way that you will not be able to have an opioid prescription unless you have cancer, you're on hospice, or you're on your deathbed. It does go into detail that if you have chronic pain, that there are a way that your doctor can eventually agree to do it. You know, if you're under these certain spectrums, you have to be within what they clarify as being a chronic pain patient to have that chronic pain management. Well, here's the problem. Physicians aren't going to do that. You have more than too many people that are suffering from chronic pain, from chronic conditions, from chronic illnesses. They're not going to be able to give every single one of their chronic pain patients the opioid prescriptions that they need under this label act, because as soon as they do, they're going to be labeled a federal drug dealer and they're going to get their license revoked, if not go to prison for doing it. So what are those physicians going to do when that act comes out? Nothing. They're not going to prescribe. They're not going to do anything. They're going to let it lay into law, and they're going to have nothing to do but watch their patients suffer. This is horrendous. It is frightening to hear. We have physicians that are on both sides of it. Physicians that agree that, oh, you know, yeah, we were a little lax on our prescriptions and we may have had our hand into this. Yeah, you probably did. You know, you're writing hydrocodones for someone that stubbed their toe or broke their toe, and it's 10 weeks later and you're still writing that script. You should have cut them off, because now you have patients that actually need it and are not going to be able to get it. But you were not the only problem. You did not create this problem. It came from the street drugs, the fentanyl that was coming into our country in whatever way it was. It came from the heroin on the streets, everything that's going on the streets is from the streets. An addict is an addict. You cannot say that, oh, well, if you do hydrocodone, you're going to turn into an addict. No, I have been on my medication long enough to tell you that I am not an addict. Am I dependent on it? Yes, my body does need it now. But I am not an addict. If I did not have pain, if my stomach did not flare and go into the pain that it does and make me physically ill, I would go off the medication. It's not a mental thing. I don't mentally want to be on it. Who wants to be on a medication unless you're an addict? Therefore, an addict, hence the disease, cannot control that they want that medication. So you cannot say that opioids, narcotic prescriptions, are the window to addiction. An addict is going to break the window either way. It doesn't matter. So that was a lot to say. And then I have a copy of a pain script, and I just kind of wanted to touch on some points of it. Now, this pain script came out, and I'm going to show you the date on it. Came out in 2015, so this was right after the CDC had wrote their guideline and came out with their recommendations, and certain states started changing things. Indiana was one of those states that decided to pass laws around the CDC's recommendations, and it dramatically affected patients. the drug screening, the pill counts, the pain contracts, you know, we were instantly treated differently because we were pain patients. So I just wanted to read a couple of this because when I actually read it again, it really kind of made me angry. So this, keep in mind, this was after the CDC made these recommendations, okay? And the CDC has now came out and said that what happened after they had made those recommendations, what certain physicians did and organizations did, was not what they wanted. It's not what they asked for. They never told physicians to stop people, taper them off, cut them off. That's what they're saying now. They said they never said to do that. It was just recommendations. So on the very first part, I even highlighted it. It says, I have a chronic condition that currently requires the prescription of one or more controlled substances as defined above. And then defined above says a schedule 2, 3, 4, 5 to include all drugs considered narcotic or amphetamine, benzodiazepine, anxiolytics. I've honestly never heard of that one. Muscle relaxants and other drugs of potential abuse. So they're considering any scheduled narcotic is under here. So back down after it says as defined above, to either maintain or improve my ability to function. The risks, including addiction, catch that? Which shouldn't be a risk. An addict's an addict. If it's a disease, only diseased people will become addicted, right? Side effects, including drowsiness, true. Harm to an unborn child, true. And potential benefits. Control of symptoms and increased functional status of this medications have been discussed with me, including the potential problems related to abuse. Ding, ding, ding. That is what should have been said above. Not the risk of addiction, but the risk of abuse and diversion. That's what it says. Second box. I agree to have my prescriptions, controlled substances, filled at a single pharmacy. Blank. You have to put that pharmacy there. If you dare go anywhere else but that pharmacy you put down there without first notifying them. If you do not follow directions, receive narcotics from another provider, or think a change is needed in your current medication, I will not request nor expect another provider in the office to renew my medications unless previously arranged by my provider, nor will I call after hours or on weekends for refills. I give my provider permission to conduct random pill counts to ensure my compliance. Doesn't that just hit you in the feels? Next, number 3, I understand that lost, misplaced, destroyed, and or stolen medication will not be replaced and early refills will not be given. I agree with that. Under any circumstances, I understand that the use of medication at a greater rate than prescribed will result in being without my medication for a period of time, which could cause severe withdrawal symptoms and possibly even death. True. I agree with that. I realize, this is box number 4. I realize that this is my responsibility to keep others and myself from harm while taking controlled substances. True. I agree with that. I lock mine up. I trust my husband, trust my kids, lock them up. Don't care. If there is any question of impairment of my ability to safely perform any activity, such as driving, operating machinery, I agree that I will not attempt to perform that activity until my ability to safely do so has been evaluated or until I have not used the medication for at least 4 days. I agree. I'm not so sure about the for at least 4 days part, but I agree. I assume because if you get in a car accident or something, the prescription would be out of your system after 4 days. So that way they're not legally held liable for that one, is what my assumption is. Number 5. I will not use alcohol or any illegal substances, including marijuana, cocaine, etc., while taking the medication. True. Anyone should agree with that one. Number 6, I agree that I will submit to blood or urine tests before beginning my medication regimen and at least annually thereafter to determine compliance with this agreement and my medical regimen. So I can understand why this may be necessary. I do wholeheartedly understand that. I do. But for those that have always abided by their prescription, have always abided by their provider, stayed in contact with their provider, have legitimate reasons to be on the medication, or make their appointments, do their other therapies, I mean, is it really necessary to continuously drug test them? And I'm talking $400 or $500 drug tests. I literally got a bill for a $400 drug test to pee in a cup. Going on. Number 7. I understand that an important part of my disease management may include non-narcotic medication therapies, relaxation therapy, physical therapy, and psychiatric care, and possibly referral to pain management specialty. I understand that if I fail to follow through with my entire treatment plan, my controlled substances may be discontinued. This one goes right through me. So they put in here may include. So they're saying it's a possibility. What I'm saying, if you have a patient that has done all of this in the past and it didn't work, and you come up to that patient again and you say, oh, well, we had you sign this pain contract and we have to make you do 6 more weeks of physical therapy. Otherwise, we've got to yank you off your meds. If I was that patient, I would probably punch you. I don't think you understand how expensive those other therapies are that you're prescribing. For someone like me who has chronic condition that is very, very costly on commercial insurance, with a critically ill child that is very, very costly on commercial insurance, for you to come at me and say, I need you to do all these therapies in order to continue your medication that is working and keeping you pain-free, and there's really no reason other than for me to do this than because your pain contract says so, I will haul off and punch you. Maybe I shouldn't say that, but I would feel it in me that I would be angry enough that I would want to punch you. Number 8, I will not share, sell, or trade my medication for money, goods, or services. Agree. Number 9, I agree to waive any applicable privilege or right or privacy or confidentiality with respect to the prescribing of controlled substances. I also authorize my provider, his and her staff associates, and any pharmacy to cooperate fully with any investigation of possible misuse, sale, or other diversion of such medication, and to provide a copy of this agreement to the pharmacy listed above or any other pharmacy requesting this information. I agree with that one too. Number 10, I understand that the goal of controlled substance therapy is to control or manage symptoms and maximize functional status, and that I may at some point be instructed to taper and discontinue the current medication or change to another therapy. So you say in that same sentence, it's there to control, manage symptoms, and maximize functional status. But at some point, you may be instructed to go ahead and taper off them and try something else. Makes a lot of sense. Number 11, I agree to meet regularly with my provider to assess my condition, monitor my compliance, and consider possibility of discontinuing all controlled substances. I agree meeting with your provider. I agree monitoring compliance. I do not agree with discontinuation of your pain medication. Let me put this in perspective for physicians, whoever you are watching this, government officials. Let me cut your belly open 15 times, mesh everything up in there, tie some rope around your organs. What else could I do to you? Stick your muscle up in through your abdominal wall, tighten your colon and turn it into a pretzel. And then you come to me in a year and tell me you still don't need your pain medicine. Or you come to me after you've been in a car accident that fractured your skull, broke your leg, killed your grandparents, messed up your hips, after you've been cut open 15 times all across your stomach, bladder shredded apart, none of your anatomy is correct position, and come tell me that you need to not have pain medicine anymore. I know there are studies out there that go into that. There are studies saying that narcotic pain medication has no proven therapy, that they outlast their ability to actually help. I have read those studies, I do understand. But if you have someone that's on them and taking them and it helps, and they're telling you that they have quality of life while they're on them and they're happier and they're living, and you take them off of them and you're putting them at risk to commit suicide and not be happy and lose their quality of life, why do that? It doesn't make sense to me. Number 12, I understand that failure to abide by the above guidelines without my provider's consent may result in the controlled substances being promptly and appropriately tapered and discontinued. Now, I understand that if you break those guidelines, or if you don't follow this little contract, and you're going to safely taper them, but you have already said on box number 1 that the patient has a chronic condition that requires the prescription to maintain or improve their ability to function. And if they make a mistake on this little contract, you're going to taper them and take away that ability to function because of a mistake? Granted, I understand if someone's out there doing dirty. They're selling their pills, they keep swapping pharmacy, they went to the dentist and got 50 Norcos and they filled it, or, I get it. There's situations that you can get the instance that, okay, this patient got me, I'm going to take them off. But what about your patients that are really hurting and you've been improving their life? And that one patient was in so much pain one night. She was crying. Her baby was up all night. Her bladder was just ripped into pieces and her cesarean after 15 abdominal surgeries prior to that. Her anatomy's all screwed up. Her baby's crying. She's up. She's got her pain medicine right there on the side of her bed. She doesn't want to have to call the doctors. Oh, she can't call another doctor. Her doctor's not on call tonight and she's not allowed to ask another doctor. So she takes that extra pain pill. Well, they call her in for a drug screen the next day. And the drug screen comes back. You took too much of your meds. Time to take you off. Do you see my point? Do you see what you could do to this mom? I was that mom. Thankfully, when I had my son in 2012, none of this crap was a problem then. they were giving me more pain pills than I probably needed then. No, I don't mean to say that. I mean, my pain was well controlled. That was the point of the medication I was given. They gave me a prescription. I had extra in case I got to that point that I needed. You know, I was that mom, up all night with a newborn baby. My bladder was ripped to shreds. I'd already had so many surgeries on my stomach. I was in so much pain. New baby crying, screaming. I'm all over in pain. I don't know what to do. I'm screaming and crying. So what do? I take another pain pill. My pain goes away. I'm able to calm my baby. We're able to rest. The next day I get up, I feel so much better. I'm not in as much pain. I feel a little bit better. I mean, the pain's still there, but I can function. I can have quality of life that day. Do you understand? Nowadays, someone in that situation, they wouldn't give them those extra pain pills to have. No, you get your script. Your script is your script, and if you don't take it the exact same way every time, if you have a little too much in your system, or if you forget to take it because your pain wasn't bad that day, and you decided not to take a pain pill that day, oh, you can't have that pain pills anymore because you must not need them. That is wrong. You're doing us wrong. Let's finish this contract, shall we? I understand that deviation from these guidelines may be grounds for dismissal from the practice of my provider and or the provider's medical group. This includes the failure of or the refusal to complete a drug screen when requested. I agree with that. I agree that if they, now hear me out, if you have not had a drug screen and you know, you do your baseline, blah, 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 and if there is some fishy things going on with you, say you were requesting more meds than you needed, or you're, you know, you kept calling in and, you know, providers have a sixth sense. You can tell when patients are being, okay? You know. So if you get that feeling and you ask a patient to do a drug screen and they refuse, I understand that. But it is not okay to dismiss them from the practice. That is when you need to educate them. That is when you need to explain to them what they're doing wrong. I mean, are they a legitimate pain patient? Do they have legitimate reasons to be in pain? Were they in a car accident and had a lot of injuries? Have they been a surgical patient and had a lot of surgeries? Do they have a chronic condition? Do they have a chronic illness? Like, I mean, be smart about it. If all those are no's and they just had, you know, they broke a finger 5 years ago and they're taking pain pills and, oh, they were short on this pain pill and they're refusing their drug screen, then yeah, of course, by all means. But you're not doing it to those types of patients. You're doing it to patients like me. You're doing it to a veteran who served our country and was in his waiting room of his pain doctor talking about the opioid bill that was going to be passed. And they fired him on the spot, made him leave the pain office for talking about fighting the opioid, for sticking up for pain patients against the opioid war. And they fired him for it. They made him leave. Would not fill his medicine, told him, you're done. You violated your contract. It's in your contract. You're not allowed to talk about medication, nothing anywhere in the office. They violated him for it. Right there. Fired him. Our veterans are being treated like this, guys. Veterans, people that served our country, deserve better than that. 14. My questions have been answered to my satisfaction. I understand that my provider's interest is in getting the most appropriate medical care for my condition. The most appropriate medical care for my condition. And I get that. Most appropriate medical care. It is a physician's responsibility to do no wrong to a patient. it you know, I just providers, I've been very fortunate with my doctors. I have, very fortunate. But I have been on a merry-go-round. And I have gotten to the point so many times where I feel like they're gonna kill me. They would rather shove me to the next doctor or not listen to me and sign the paper or do whatever it is they're doing than really listen to me or do any tests or try to really figure out what's wrong. And I don't know. I am scared that I am speaking out, that my pain might, you know, they may get mad and do something. I hope not. I hope they understand that I'm doing this for the better, that I'm educated, that I'm trying to give both sides. I understand both sides fully. We're just trying to ask for fairness, understanding, you know. You can't put a one-size-fits-all bill out and expect it to be okay. You can't do that with anything. Nothing one size fits all fits all. And what else was I gonna say? Sorry, I just like that last part got me, I guess, with the most appropriate care, because I know physicians do their best to take care of us. I really truly believe that most physicians are doing their best that they can, and they're struggling with what's going on in the government too. They can't help it, and there's not enough time for them to talk to every patient, figure out every single thing. I understand that, but we have to figure out a way to do better. We have to, because chronic pain patients are gonna die. Whether you kill them off by stopping their meds, or they kill themselves, or they go to the streets, whatever answer they find, it's not gonna be a good one unless we come up with an action plan that is better than the one we have. Oh yeah, I remember what I was gonna say. In Senator Braun and Senator Manchin's FDA label opioid act that they're trying to pass, they refer to cancer pain. And I did my research on this a little bit. So cancer pain is, I looked at both the American Cancer Society, the World Health Organization, and the National Cancer Organization, and none of them could define cancer pain to be any different than pain. So, and I mean, I read in-depthly everything. I mean, I spent hours reading and researching, and I went from this document and this research from this physician to this one. There is nothing that clarifies the difference between cancer pain and pain. So who's to tell me or you or anyone else the difference between their pain? There was one thing that really stuck out to me when I was reading, was that most cancer patients will have post-neuropathic pain from their surgery, from after surgery, cancer surgery, and and that's what I have. I have had so many surgeries. I've been cut this way, I've been cut this way, I've been cut all over, I've been mauled like a bear in there, and that's what I have. I have post-neuropathic surgery pain, and I have so many adhesions and scar tissue and issues in there. And that was defined by the World Health Organization, which was under the same thing for the American Cancer Society and the American Cancer Society and the National Cancer Organization, I think is. I'll link them. And my pain was equivalent to what they were saying cancer pain is. So, and I'm not trying to pit cancer patients against chronic pain patients or chronic illness against cancer. That's not what this is about. This is simply about pain. Cancer patients have pain. We have pain. We all deserve to be treated for it, plain and simple. So Senator Manchin and Senator Braun need to get off their high horse. The government needs to stay out of the medical field and let our physicians write our bills to benefit all of our patients. Okay, so with that, I'm gonna sign off. Spoonies, let me know how you're feeling down below. Let me know your thoughts. I'm so sorry this was such a long video. I just had so much in my mind. And then my next video will be surgery. I'm having my surgery. I'm having my pain pump put in. So I will also do a video discussing my feelings on getting a pain pump with all this opioid issues and bills and everything else going on. So new video coming soon. I will talk to you guys later. Bye.